Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Source13 by Flurry. I'm your host, Amanda Coulong, here on TechZulu Live. We're sitting here with Wilson Kriegel of Paltalk. How are you today?
I'm doing great, thanks.
So you just came off of a panel, and you were talking about sometimes you have to break it to make it. What does that mean, per se?
I think what we're trying to address is both as a company as well as in market conditions. Evolution is sometimes painful, and changing is painful. And whether it's reorganizing a company or going after a new market based on the evolution of how people use certain technologies, the process always that change requires you to do things differently, and that's in itself breaking something.
And as it relates just to mobile first, as everyone keeps saying, I mean, what are some things that you've had to do or that you've seen others do as it relates to that?
I was previously CRO of OMG Pop. We had the game called Draw Something out there. I think usability and experience has a lot to do with how people today adopt products. And a lot of what has changed in how technology has been developed is to be much more forward-focused on consumers and the emotional relationships that people have with their technologies and how that bridges the gap between people or contents. And that's a huge departure from technology being very removed from people's kind of everyday construct and personality. So when we're looking at our products and we're looking at our sectors of video chat and group video chat, we're trying to see how people are evolving around that technology, but where does that technology lead people and how can they use it in their everyday life in more meaningful ways for whatever that matters to them, which is either topics or interests or people of different continents or cultures. And so what we're looking at when it comes to mobile is the fact that if you think about emerging countries, mobile, I include tablet, which I think is a very powerful device over time. We look at emerging countries in particular, and we look at how people are engaging with their phones more and more from within their homes to when they're traveling to, for entertainment purposes, for work, for facilitating information flow. India, Africa, Asia, these are mobile-first countries. Yep. There will not be DSLs. People do not get on planes because they can't afford it. Right. But they're getting smartphones, and there's Wi-Fi spots.
Which still amazes me. It really amazes me how they've just leaped ahead of all of us.
Yeah, and I think that, what slows down our own adoption in developed countries like the U.S. is the fact that we have so many options.
Right.
And we're cluttered in options and of usabilities of products and technologies and transportation. And there's been a lot of infrastructure investments over the past decades.
Right.
Over there, they're starting now. And so they get to start with the latest and the newest. And so both in terms of size of countries, which like in Korea, they have broadband speeds that are 10x ours. They can download a 2 gig product, in 10 minutes, where it would take somebody 45 minutes here. That creates a lot of friction. Right. They're able to drive adoptions of what would you consider a core product here as a mass market product over there because of the fluidity of the product. So mobile first, in these emerging markets means video chat will be a de facto mean of interacting and socializing with people that you will never be in front of or will have no other means of interacting with otherwise.
So way ahead of FaceTime.
Yeah, I think for us, again, where we're differentiating ourselves from Skype or Tango is that they're personalized communication tools, right, and we're a social discovery platform.
Okay.
And so our technology, which enables one-to-many versus one-to-one.
Sure.
And so, I view us as an evolution of what Google Hangout is, or what Airtime tried to accomplish. We already have 10 million active users a month. I think that we could be a 100 million users a month platform.
Are you based up here in San Francisco?
We're in New York City, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, given that TechZulu is a video platform, we should probably talk to you too. See?
So when it comes to our approach to the market, we view ourselves as a consumer play. There's a lot of SaaS products out there that are really focused on enabling businesses to interact with one another or for their purposes. We're building APIs around our technology to work with content providers.
Great.
Because
sign us up.
Yeah, we feel that what is today a really long-tail environment of fickle content potentially can become a much more highly valued, vertical-based content environment with, status and recognition and just like you have on LinkedIn or the purpose of clout, people want to be interacting and following others just like you see on Twitter, and so LinkedIn's really evolved that greatly over the past couple of years where you're just, trying to stay connected with people in business, and now you're following people. You're sharing in common interests. You're listening to them. They're posting and tweeting in that environment, and so the follower, kind of mentality and the group environments around that, and the sharing and learning around topics or interests is things that Twitter, LinkedIn, have accomplished, and I think video chat will do as well.
Great. Final thoughts. Any interesting questions or comments during the panel itself that really stood out to you?
Nobody in the audience asked anything, which is often common. I mean, I think what was most interesting about, ultimately the panel is that we're three very different companies, but that ultimately are solving very similar things, which is about, bridging the gap between people and things of interest, which one obviously Shazam is music. I mean, Shazam is actually just as old as we are. We're a 12-year-old company, and Shazam is actually 12 years old, which I did not know, since they've really kind of blossomed over the past 3 or 4 years. And that's why I joined Paltalk from Zynga, where I was an executive. It was because I felt that they were at that juncture, and the market demand was at that juncture, and technology adoption was such that there could be, based on product iteration and features, kind of that catalyst that could take what, again, is a very profitable company today of 10 million users a month to 100 million users a month, on a global standpoint. Sure.
So video with you, Paltalk, mobile video. How long before we see pervasive mobile video?
I think the challenge, there's a couple of challenges around that. One is you'll see it as a more pervasive adoption in international markets at first, but the challenge there is technology and broadband. And so Wi-Fi is going to be a really important part of the evolution of these technologies and that adoption. That's much more accessible in the US, but people are also much more, I would say, slow to adopt new technologies because they don't have to. So there's going to be a fine line and balance around that. I think scale drives scale. So once you reach certain, catalyst points of size of audience, that inherently drives more users. I mean, we experienced that at Draw Something, where because it's a true social product and you needed and wanted other people to interact with, the more people were in there, the more people were inviting people or doing things with other people, and the more that proliferated around social networks and platforms and content platforms. So I think that once we get to the 20, 30 million kind of audience size base, it will trigger, a lot of proliferation of usage. I think the carriers by themselves, by the way, are very excited about companies like ours because we consume a lot of data, and that's how they make a living moving forward. So, they like that. I think that we'll ultimately piggyback right on Wi-Fi, hotspots and enabling platforms and technologies out there. But there's always some limitations of technology evolution, and then there's limitations of human behavior adoption. But I think over the next couple of years with platforms like tablets, that will be a nice bridge, as well as the continuous evolution of smartphones themselves. I mean, the new Android phones are very different from those 3 or 4 years ago, and in many cases people view them as much better technologies than the iPhone is. So I think, and the screens are larger now, so there's a lot more content that can be done, and the iPad mini is bridging that gap as well. So content and entertainment has to be an experience, and the technologies that enable that have to live by and die by the realities of the platforms they function on. I think that it will take, I think that we will see 1 billion video chat users in the next several years.
Billion video chat users.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's 7 billion people on Earth. 3/4 of those are in emerging countries. The rate of, there's going to be about 600 million tablets in the world in 2016, so it's said. iPhones are going to be, there will be more smartphones out there than there will be people. So
there already are.
Yeah, so you put those combinations of variables together, and I think that having 1 billion people using or doing video chat within the next 2 or 3 years is not unreasonable.
Well, it all sounds so exciting, especially those of us who love video. So if people want to check out more about Paltalk, where should they go?
Just go to paltalk.com.
Spell that, is it actually Paltalk or?
Correct.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for joining us. This is Wilson with Paltalk.